please remain standing for just a second. We're going to sing our school officially open Congress. So I have a deep voice. If I give it to you, nobody can sing. So please help me back with a higher pitch. Can please start. I'm Santa Claus and stand up to one.
To honor those who have gilded the school with their faith. Our Maker, blessing upon us, leads us to remember the strength of our name. Others have labored and we share their glory, as we do exploits and add to their name. Those who come after will take up our story, maybe where we are singing again. Way up, Santa Claus, yes. So way up and play that again. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Way up for the school's great name. Way up, Santa Claus, yes. So we play up and play that again. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. We are for the school's great. On the hill where dreams well remains, our Maker, our great man, Santa Claus is all. We shall always bear their farm. We shall never be beaten. We shall always bear their farm.
Thank you very much. So, like I said, because we're behind at this point, I'll welcome the co-president, seniors, Reverend Wajid, and will give us the welcome.
We just want to welcome everybody in this room. Welcome from far and near, from our family across the pond here with us, and we appreciate that. So we welcome you all to have a discussion, and in due course we get a time to meet each and everyone. Particularly we welcome the GEC president of the break and the Aoba UK president who have taken the opportunity to participate on our conference. Without further ado, we have this and delve into the discussions and we'll have it all. All right, thank you.
So, I just want to talk briefly about the registration. We sent a link on the main Aoba North America WhatsApp page. So if you don't have it yet, I can send it to you. Just let me know and I'll reach out to you. I'll just give you the link and you can register for.
I'll come to you with the link and you can register right now.
We just want to keep it going on.
It is.
Yeah, it's on the website. You can. All right. So the next thing is we're going to just get short messages. We have a few, I don't want to say visitors, but, greetings from our sister chapters, mainly the UK. As President Ofibuelo has already said, we have the GEC president in our midst. We'll have him address the Congress later on, but we just want to give this opportunity for the UK president to bring the fraternal greetings from the UK chapter. So, Dr. Paul.
a pleasure to be here.
Recording in progress.
It's a habit I don't want to throw away. So I've been asked by the executives of the Saudi Robots Association UK to send their fraternal greetings to you all. As I said yesterday at the last night function, we seem to have gelled quite a lot since we had the Global Executive Council, and long may that continue. We want to be able to work with you at the end of the day for the best of the school that made us. So, greetings from the United Kingdom.
So at this time, we'll invite the representatives from the 1998. We'll invite the representatives of the 1998 year group. They just hosted the just ended speech day. So we want them to give us a presentation on their experience in the preparation, and also the execution of the project and everything pertaining to the speech day. So we're waiting for them to connect the laptop.
Can you send them the link? Yeah, the register.
Okay, I'll post it on the link.
Yeah, it's on our side. It's on our agenda.
Okay, I'll resend it to them, everybody. All right, so with a round of applause, please let's welcome
Recording in progress.
Good morning. Good afternoon. 98. Hello. So we had one person declared this year, and we chose a 200-seater library, reading room in Owa School behind Granville. Most of them, this is the first question to us. If you live in Goa School and you want to go up and study at night, sometimes you have to go through the steps, the dark. So we call like having the first academic facility down in Goa School. Personally, for me, it was very personal because I lived in Brazil House my 3 years in school. There were times that I wanted to study extra, I had to go out. So there was a lot of politics why we chose this project, but we put it through. It cost us about 200,000 USD, but we did not actually spend that money. We raised about 1.4 million Ghana cedis. I will show the numbers as we go. We did the foundation to raise an extra floor, because speaking to the headmaster, he was like, we should make room for expansion because of the intake that we have now in the school. As you can see through this, we went through different phases. Most of us thought, even ourselves, we thought we couldn't pull this through. But God being on our side, and I'll say what actually helped us to make this happen were the words of the school code. I guess I've never which year that glory hours to do extra in last year again. When the going got off, we went back to those words in our school code. And that's what helped us make this happen. We had a command kid was help us renovate the building. And let me see that pictures. President, GC, Dr. Green, always there. Let me say something about our head. So, Sir was very instrumental. He paid his money way ahead of time, motivate some of us. And I would say that without him and a few guys, this couldn't have happened. So Michael was not here. Michael is our president in the US. He's not here today because of some money engagement. Michael has been very instrumental in raising money. He will always pay first about from the US group, and that helped us push us in terms of fundraising. This is. So we had some challenges. At the point the project was stuck, we had hired some guys from Butchering because we put out a bid for the best builders out there to take over the project. So we hired some guys from Butchering, and at a point the project had stopped because he was asking for money. So we fired him and hired Joe. Joe was the lead engineer for the project. Both of us saw the building move from, let's say, from about within a span of like 2 months, move from where it was where we saw it. Joe was very instrumental. He had to leave his work, travel up and down, Accra, Cape Coast, just to make it happen for us. So we gave him an award. Because without him as well, this would not have happened. So for the money part, we raised about 1 million within ourselves. We had money from external donors as well. That came out to about 340,000. And then we also got had some help from other year groups, other Santa year groups. Santa 73 gave us money, 83 gave us money, 92 gave us 2,000, Santa 97 gave us 57,000. 99 gave us 3,000, 09 gave us 1,000, 233 gave us about 7,500. That came to about. We had some individuals donors at the first day gave us 3,000, and then down the list, everything came out to 340,000 from individual donors. We got help from Paradise Warner, Casa Prayer, and other sponsors. Okay, right there. So if you look on the list, Michael Aiden, our president in the Michael always put money just to push us. So we put everybody that paid money towards this project in our brochure. Our brochure is going on. So if you look down the list, people that paid from 4,000 to 5,000. Michael, George, the info, our library prefect was out there. Among them, between 2,000, 3,000. Not because we have the money, but we have to pay to motivate our guys. 1,500 to 2,000. We have people there, 1,000 to. So these are in USD, all the way down. At the point we just opened up, whatever you can pay, you just pay. We have people. So I mean, we appreciate everyone that was able to put into it, and then we told the guys, this will be the time for most of us to give something to the school. I mean, after this, we might not do anything for the school, but this is a one-time show. Do whatever you can as of now, and then you will not regret it. We gave money out, like today I'll put money out, tomorrow I'll get some extra money from somewhere. So we felt that it was time to give, and we pulled it through. And most of our guys are saying, oh, we wish there was something else that we could go back and do again. No, there's nothing else. Not to say, the whole time, there was a total
Get a new bus.
why we chose this so expensive project. We wanted to have something that will impact learning. We saw, the buildings turn down, like, some classroom blocks where you can actually see like the sun, like, I think they have here, science block. We do appreciate that, we do acknowledge those facts, but then we wanted to have something different, something meaningful, something that will add value to the school. Maintenance culture. We plan to go back every like 5 to 10 years to see what we have, just to put like things back in broken chairs, windows, and as I speak now, we still have to put tables and chairs in the building. We have a meeting tomorrow to go over the cost of the project, what went wrong, what could have done better, and for the most of that. Some guys still want to give money as we speak now, so. Maintenance. Yes. We didn't get a lot of help from the Aoba, but it was chosen by year group and other year groups. So things as a whole. So I would say for the upcoming groups, if your groups choose a project, if a project is chosen, it cannot be changed. So the easiest, thing I said to if you want to sit back and watch, just contribute your quota, the money, just pay the money, and just sit back for other people's preference. Because the politics of the whole thing sometimes draw us back. And then what else would I say? The money was the fact that was a big factor here. We were like, oh, we can't raise that money. But then after a while, we realized that most of our guys were doing well financially. Most of the guys wanted to pay more. Sometimes you have to talk to people outside the platform, one-on-one, convince them. But we all have different motivation factors why we're pushing or paying more or paying less. So sometimes one-on-one on the back and also help to pull this through. And then at the end, everybody was happy. We open it up to, if you're able to pay, you still show up, keep course, come, let's have fun. And then I think I spoke to somebody here last year, like speech days for you guys to have fun. Go, have fun. And we did have fun after we pulled it through. It was fun. And we did it, like I said, from the words of the school code. Sometimes if they get stuck, you go back to those words, and that moves them. Thank you.
It is amazing. Right? Simple, straightforward, conversational. It is amazing. So I want to congratulate you and your year. And some of the things that you said, I think we have already done, because it's very important for us, right, together. You made mention that you have fun, which is very, very important. You get it done and you have fun. I love how you mentioned maintenance. I was just thinking after that, right, because it's very, very important for us. I've been in Arizona College for the compound for over 50 years, right, when I was about 6, 5, my father used to take me to Arizona College to do the telephone stuff, right, anytime I think I could. And one of the criticisms my father had up to now, he keeps on telling me that only 2% of people's guys go to Arizona. And anytime we do something, we old boys do something, I get a lot of knocks to my father. He will tell me, oh yeah, it is not Arizona College, right? Nothing in the community. And I've been telling him that anytime we do projects like what you just said, $200,000 American dollars, right? It also stimulates the economy of people, right? It is something that I want us to be deliberate about. It's called corporate responsibility. Anytime we do project, at the side, we put average out, I would say $300,000 every year, right? I think we should be very deliberate in terms of choosing the contractors. We should be deliberate in terms of buying the suppliers. Okay? That will help us to deflate that criticism that we get from people. $300,000 stimulating Capecoast economy. That's a lot of money. They hire from Capecoast, which means we provide employment. That is very, very good for Capecoast. So when we do projects, it's not just at the side of these 4 walls. But you know, if you don't sell your illness, you don't get medicine. We have to do a good job of making others know that, hey, we are actually providing something to Capecoast. Okay? I know something about that, so I'm very, very passionate about that. Then number 2, I think also we should go further. You said you raised some funds for non-Santa questions. That's something we struggle with because we are always focused on Santa questions. Now, for you to go outside Santa questions, that means you have to be active in the community that you are in, right? Because we are privileged to, I don't care what it is we are, right? And I'm very proud of it. But in order for you to go to businesses, not Santa questions, you will have to be active in the community that you are in, and we are. We build scholarship program right at the church. We have 2 guys from Capecoast. We pay for the scholarship, $1,500 every year. 4 years is $6,000. You know what I mean? And these guys are going back into Capecoast, right, to teach struggling and question. So we actually doing it. The problem is that we keep talking silence. We don't go in there. Right, so I just want to, congratulate you for the work done, and I appreciate even the mention of maintenance. That is the biggest headache we have right now. Right, I spoke to Dr. Quinn. For 1 hour, this doctor wanted to speak. He was livid. Dr. Quinn, I think she said that thing. He was livid because he says anytime you give us money, we somehow we don't do the maintenance. For 1 hour, this doctor was only speaking Ghana. So thank you very much for mentioning the maintenance. Thank you. Nana Action. I am Nana Action. Yes.
Open responsibility, right?
Yes.
From the statistics that you gave us, about 2% of people from the Capecoast community goes to Asada College. So how are we ensuring, right, that we have a committee member, right, or a board member sitting, coming from the legitimacy to sit on the board to now ensure that the project that we are coming up, that people in Capecoast have the right skill set in terms of artisans to get a job performed, rather than bringing, let's say, people in Accra, let's say, take the skill set to get a project done.
So, I'm sorry not to run my mouth, but I know a little bit about it. Okay, I just built a hotel 3 years ago in Capecoast, 15 minutes from my side college. So the notion that I mean, that's not what you presume, but they have the men, they are there. They have the contractors, they have whatever we need, they have it there. Just that I think we gotta be a little bit deliberate, right? Making sure I'm clarifying. I don't know why I do that. If we are a little bit deliberate in terms of making sure, okay, we want these guys to be from Capecoast because we want that to be that thing is not good for us. That 50% stuff, I don't think it helps us. We can use our vendors, suppliers, vendors, contractors from Capecoast, right? Which means that we are contributing. I hired about 200 people for construction. 200. So if we are doing a project like this, my other thing, that would be somewhere between 250 to 300. They are most of them from Capecoast. So we are actually contributing to Capecoast economy.
Okay, it's one thing to contribute, yes. But it's another thing to also communicate.
let people know that this is what we do.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
So, to add to that with the communication, sorry that like when we are doing the announcements and stuff like that on our page, there are all these radio stations you can let them know that things are high and people, you know, that's what will let the people know. Maybe indirectly doing it, but we are not talking about
Yes,
it.
we did something similar. We did a house training for the hospital because we went to the primary school. I did a review with them to tell them about our programs, what to expect that weekend. And then just to add to what he was saying, we had there was a lot of like hotels, we rented out hotels, we bought stuff like during that weekend was very busy. And there were other schools there as well. I think Blue Child was also having their program during that time. So there was nowhere to sleep, like most of the hotels were filled. So it's something that helps with the kid was coming as well during the time. And now I think it's because of social media, you see a lot of like, you know, people move to Cape Coast during those times. And that helps the economy.
I think we just have to factor that into the contract agreement to ensure that like, we are hiring local people to get it done. What if, let's say, someone tells like that, it's a laborer, or let's say it's an electrician, but maybe it's a good electrician. What are they going to do? They ride it, right? So we have to ensure the right skills are doing the work before we ride it.
Anyway, one question.
Guys,
For lessons learned for upcoming year groups, what did you mean by the politics project?
Okay. So one of the setbacks that we had,
Yes.
the last project was, some people did not agree to what we chose. Why this project? Why are we spending so much money? And you know, they weren't like, you know, in sync with what was going on. So they rather keep their money in their pocket. That's one, which was not a big problem. The problem is some people went further, telling other people not to contribute to the project because of why we putting all this down in the school. People went ahead and said, you know, all kinds of things. What is my rate of return for giving at Federal College $500 or more towards something? What would be my benefit? These are people like that. Not a lot of people, but a few people, like a few people. And sometimes these things go to discourage other people from paying or from supporting the agenda. So, and then, you know, within our project, it got political. Why are we hiring a contractor? Why don't we go the formal way? You know, and this is something that will sit 200 people. So it's like me building my house, like a 4-bedroom house, you know, that you can easily hire somebody from, you know, from like the area or whatever. And the reason why we have to hire someone from the field, we put out a tender at the airport city to have people bid on the project. We had Joel, which, you know, and he was a civil engineer at that time. But at that time, Joel was not part of the project committee group. So one fellow having troubles, I reached out to Dr. Imu, who was also a civil engineer, but he's into lecturing. So Imu reached out to Joel, who actually is a builder. So Joel came to the team, took it upon himself. At the point, we had to fire the guy because the work was not moving as fast as we wanted it to. Though we had money to move the project, but he was like, okay, you know, I need iron rods. One of our guys, two of our guys, I have to mention their names, Crispus and Tony Lawson, a year ago. They gave us $100,000 at the point whereby the project was stalled. And that was like a turning point for us. You know, they felt like we're struggling to give us money. $100,000 is, and these are people, you know, we call. I had access to Chris, so I told Chris, we need help. Here, money. They gave us $10,000 worth of iron rods. That helped push the project. And a lot of people that were saying on the back end,
you know, this is too expensive, who's going to maintain this? We had all that, we had, you know. And then, I think, talking to ourselves, having meetings, you know, we'll have a meeting, we'll call people to, you know, on the back to ask questions, just to get everybody else involved. So that, if the project is chosen, whether, like, you know, it's solar panels or renovation, the easiest thing that most of us could have done is to just pay money and sit back. Because the legwork, you know, when the money goes, you need people on the ground to push things, to leave their family, travel, keep going up and down, 2 hours, you know, the roads, motivate those guys. Oh, thank you, do something, pay for their, you know, their apparel for the street day. Like, you know, we have to do something for the executives. They were spending time away from their family, traveling. We are here. We are also moving, you know, sending money to them, calling them, encouraging them. Because nobody's paying for this, but they for example, the school. And we realized that we had different motivating factors. Some of the boys were like, oh, this is not doing anything for me, so why should I? You get this like that. And those are the politics of it. Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, please, we don't.
That's very important. I wanted to continue to the whole.
Sorry. With all due respect, we have an agenda with behind, so sorry, but we need to move on. We'll come to that when we get to open Q&A.
Yeah, just know they will come.
We need to just approve.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So you've done an awesome job. I just want to point out that in addition to everything else you've done, they are sponsoring the lunch for us this afternoon. So at this time, I want to introduce to us the president of the Global Executive Committee, Dr. Dan Reed. He's in our midst. He traveled all the way from Ghana. He was here last year for those of us who attended, and he's here again. We want to welcome him with a round of applause to give us.
We don't get mine. We don't get mine. The room is small.
Good morning again. It's my pleasure to be here again with you. And thanks for the performance also. And as ever, my 75-year group people are always around to support me. But the performance is the chairman of the AOBA UK. And he's here. And it's just to state the point that we are all one Pentecostal body, right? Irrespective of our geographical locations. We all have one aspiration is to make and serve. That's right. It's already great. We realize that this changing environment of social, economic, and all other factors, all the schools in Ghana are struggling. Yes. All the schools. And we have major issues for all the schools. And the schools that stand out are the schools who have strong old boys body that contribute. And if we want to make our schools continue and have bragging rights, then we need to continue to support Adisadel in a big way, because as we say, others have labored to share their glory. It's ours now to do exploits to that gain. I'm pleasant to be here. But just, I know there are a lot of things on people's minds, And a couple of things that we need to talk about concerning the learning room that we constructed. I think going forward, one thing that from our mind we need to continue looking at is an e-library. E-library will go a long way to help us and get a lot more access to books for our students. And it means that our internet has to be right. Some of the projects we're contemplating, which is why the 99-year group has taken up as well, is solar. It's going green on the campus. It's really heartbreaking sometimes when you hear the fact that most of the houses and some of them are on prepaid meters. And it gets to a point that lights go off because there are no units. And it's not like in our time. Okay? And when you have, so if we invest in green and going solar, it will take a lot of these things away. That's why the 99-year group have undertaken to do that. And they probably will not be able to do the full Addisaba campus, but we will set it up in phases so that people can do it. The other key thing we want to do is biodigester. All the schools are breaking down their seams. The congestion is unreal. Okay, and a lot of the septic tanks are busting at the seams as well. So if we have biodigesters, we'll be able to handle those things adequately and probably also get gas produced to support the house masters in their cooking as well, which will be a good thing to do. And the issues, the myriad of issues, the key thing we have done is it used to be National Executive Council, the NEC, but we realized that it was more centered to Ghana, and we have people all over the world. So we have now changed the constitution and made it a global executive council. And North America has representatives on the executive council, so does UK. And they're not just attendees, but they are members of the decision-making body of the executive council. The same way we have also, we have a trust fund, the trustees of the trust fund. We do have North American members sitting on the trust fund board. The disbursement committee, the investment committee have members of North America and UK now sitting on those committees, which is contributing largely because we have, if you look professionally, Santa Clausians are everywhere. So what we're doing is tapping into all those, and that's the same reason why we formed various subcommittees working on a lot of things. For example, protocol. I'm touching on some of the things that I know questions will come. The protocol committee has been set up, hasn't finalized its report yet, but is taking information and people's concerns on how the protocol is administered. And we do have members of North American and the UK people. I mean, I think you sit on that committee. Yeah. So we do have all these things. So please, if you have concerns, address them through your executives, because they sit on the executive council and they sit on most of these committees. And this is a listening GEC. GEC will listen to any contribution you have, anything you bring up, because there's a proverb in tree which says, a tree bako and
One head cannot have a meeting.
The other committee, the critical committee we set up is the maintenance committee. This is headed by Lukman Yaya, who are putting together how, I mean, every project we do in Addisaba has a maintenance budget. And it grows and it becomes unwieldy. So that's being looked at now, put it in a format that we can rightly address. In the meantime, what we're doing is that every project that anybody undertakes, we have requested that you add about 15%. to it to cater for a maintenance which will last for 2 years. Ultimately, what we will end up doing is that, and that's part of the reason your secretary have requested for the trust fund. The trust fund in itself, what we intend to do is to invest the trust fund and the Southern Trust Fund. And the coupons that come from it, we intend to appropriate to include maintenance and other operating expenses for the school. Because most of these schools, the subvention that comes from government doesn't go anywhere. I mean, I don't think there's any money set aside for maintenance for any of those schools. So it becomes an issue. But if we get a trust fund investment to a sizable amount, a lot of the daily things that will come back to Santa Clauses will not be doing that, because that investment will then yield the coupon, which will allow us to, on a yearly basis, give the school the money to be able to do it. So please support the launch of the trust fund and give handsomely so that we can continue to make our school great. We have also set up a strategic committee, and the intent is that we need a 5-year strategic plan minimum for the school, so that what we do, we see that as we go along and make sure that we have a vision that we are following. The website committee has been done. They've actually now revamped the whole school website, and it was the committee was headed by McKay, and that has been done. It's been unofficially handed over to the school. We're waiting for things to happen, and then we'll do the official handover. But essentially, the team has been training the school. There's an ICT, and they will manage the website. And part of what we want to do is also use that website so that they can use it to reach to stakeholders in terms of even sending reports and other things to listen. It's been very well done, and this comprises of members from North America, UK, and Ghana. So we're tapping into anything that we can do. There's a souvenirs committee, which is where the inform is going to be headed by Philip Yevesi, and I think you've got one guy named Joseph Thompson also. Joseph Thompson on the committee as well, and a couple of others from the UK and Ghana. The communication and newsletter committee have been formed, and they are in operation, and I think Sasla is on that committee as well. And Alfred. We did put in a data gathering committee, and I must say our data gathering hasn't done very well. It's still out there, and the intent of doing that is collecting information where we can actually understand the total numbers of Santa Clauses. And if we have to broadcast any news, we will do it individually. As well as if we have to do something, we need a professionals. We can then say how many engineers we have, how many, but we know people are being reluctant in filling in those ones. Please help us to gather that data so we can be effective and efficient. As part of the restructuring we've done for the National Executive Council, which is now Global Executive Council, is to also form Aoba Ghana. And Aoba Ghana is currently being formed. There's a committee being set, and it's being chaired by Reverend Samson Hammond. And the intent, what we plan, we've got what they call the House Committee. We're trying to collapse that to make it the Aoba Ghana. That is happening now. Because of that, we have started reviving the area groups in Ghana. The Ashanti region group is now up and running and very strong now. We've got a central region, and then we recently done the, Springtest Road one, there's a Dansuman branch. All those things are being revived, and they'll feed into Aoba Ghana. So we can have an Aoba Ghana, we have Aoba North America, and Aoba UK. We have recently commissioned the Atu Mold House. And the question that has come from a lot of people is that, what are we doing to deal with the congestion on the campus? And it is congested, very, very much so. And it also has an impact on maintenance, because you have more people using those things, and everything you do. I mean, recently most of the houses have been renovated by this thing, and within a short time, it just goes back to it. We can't continue doing that. So we have approached the board chairman, we have approached the headmaster. What we're trying to do is to have an internal alignment in terms of how do we go about our decongestion, so that we have a plan. And if there are external stakeholders that we will have to engage, because the schools now are being run by GES. And a lot of them, unfortunately, the headmasters have their hands tied up because they get instructions and they get things from GES. And sometimes so it's our work to fight for them. And we're doing that, but we have to do that quietly in the background and help them. But do we have a plan ourselves to do it? And that's what we're going to do. Recently, the mold house is going to be used to do that. I've heard people say the Sandra house was going to do that, it never did. And in itself is overcrowded now. So the mold house will not be overcrowded. We will stick principally to how it's been built and the numbers that are going in there. And we will use that to draw people from the other houses to fill that place. The criteria has been drawn by the headmaster listening, and it's gone to the board in terms of how they're going to work with it. I thought Philip Yebesi was going to be here, our rep on the board, but I think tonight we'll be there, and I'll make him talk to what the board has decided. We're going to do that, and we are watching management and board closely in terms of how that is applied, because it's important we use both house to start the recovery. We will not do decongestion in 1 year. It's going to be a period of time and probably take maybe 5 years, but we should then see that each year we're making progress, so that we will end up there. And that's the plan that the EC has, and we are engaging the school and the board to make sure that happens. But our first test will be how our tomorrow house is applied, and it will go strictly to make sure that it's not overcrowded in itself, and we will use that to. So in our times we had a common rooms where we had a table tennis tables and other things there, we went back there and use it. We don't have that anymore, it's all filled up. So sometimes you ask yourself, what social do the boys have to engage? They have nothing.
No complaints.
No complaints. We had what we call a complaint. Complaint night. Yeah. And in the evening, the complaint evening, where it built our spirituality as well. And you went and met there every evening and sang the song. But all those things are gone, and those form the character of Adisada. Okay, apart from we guys from Katanga who always was fitter than the Yukovu guys. So there's a lot happening, there's a lot of complaints, but we're going to need the support of everybody that support us. One of the things that we're looking to do as well is to create call it a certain house or something like that. We need a permanent secretariat. We have a permanent secretary so people can have contact and address them directly. But to do that, we need what? Cash land. And so this goes down to the dues and all those things that we pay. I mean, currently, all the dues is being paid through energy groups, which is the yellows. And we only pay 1,000 Ghana cedis a year. 1,000 Ghana cedis a year for each year group. Okay? If you look down, when we went to, we were 123. We went to 123. I can tell you that there are some ones now going 800. It's 600, 800 people going to forward. Okay, so if you take even those what I call later day things, people who are, some started from about 400, 600, now it's about 800 on the first year. And you're paying 1,000 Ghana cedis. What does the executive council, how much money will they gather to be able to cost? So all these things are things to play, and I'm going to plead with all of you to go back to your friends and say, look, we need to now put our money where our mouth is. Because we are proud of Adesado, and we want to continue having a bragging right to push Adesado. We recently set up, we've got a STEM building which Nana Yamdong built for us. We are in the process of making sure that kitchen up to do, and Dr. Paul Mensah is chairing the committee to do that. We put a very high-powered group of people together, which cuts across globally in terms of how that is going to be done. And that requires, and we've got 3 people, Santa Clausians, who have actually taken naming rights. Benapa, Presidente, and Dr. Gizi. They've selected 3 of the laboratories, there are 6, and they're paying fully for it being kitchen up. But how do we go forward implementing? Dr. Foreman and his team are working on that. The problem is that we're trying to even get what's the curriculum for STEM in Ghana, and it's been difficult. So we are trying to get through that, and because we want to use that as our minimum, but then we want to upscale it. But we have to make sure that we put it in place so that whatever the Ghana Education Service set up as STEM, we satisfy that and do more. So there's really a lot in play at the moment, and I find most of the executives, the North American executives that sit on the global, and then the UK that sits in the Ghana. If you're not close to action, there's a lot of things you can say, but we are working. That's right. We are working against a lot of things, and especially in our time, the board of the school has control over the school. These days, it doesn't. The GES is both the regulator and the manager. Okay, so the board is effectively in place, but also the constitution of the board, and somebody mentioned about chiefs. The chiefs have representatives on the board. Okay. But if you look at the total numbers of the people outside our school influence are more than what the people outside are more than our people in terms of numbers. So there's a lot of things that all we are doing is making sure we're doing right engagement. To be able to engage widely, you need to have the numbers and quantity. Because one of the things we used to do is send numbers to the school. But we need to be able to say, it's not about the houses, total number of houses, it's not about the flats that you've got, but laboratories, classrooms, how many can we fit in there? So those are all the things that have to put in consideration to make sure that we bring our school numbers down. So I hope I've been able to address most of the things that. Sorry.
So how do you push back to the say, okay, giving you 800 students, how do you push back and say, don't have this? Throw them over. Get rid of them.
No, that's a good question. The headmasters now have been pushed in there, but I think they can't even talk. All of us have we spend testimony to how one of the headmasters, didn't work and was treated and pushed away and just put aside. So what we're doing is to make sure that we have a very good relation now with the minister,
using it and personal product and giving facts and figures to deal with it.
Okay, very good question. Most of the statements, most of the statements is about encouraging all we are one. And I really appreciate the present that we are doing. I just to agree again. I think
No.
Keep on it. Keep on it. Always be Aoba Na has to correctly say, we provide, and we've been doing this for a long time, we provide a lot of value to our students. And I think it's not easy. I would suggest that $200,000 a year to at least and some proportion based on that. So my suggestion is this. I know you have to look at it, and you and others are thinking of you. I am suggesting make things easier for us, right? If we can get our own group programs, even if it's 1 or 2, I'm talking about admission. I'm not in the business of business, so I'm just saying things that I feel that. Second thing is that there are some projects that is going on being funded. We are here because of conflict between the government and the contractors. We cannot even negotiate our way out to complete the project we want to. I would like to know your view, and ask if it is possible we can negotiate with the government to give us the right to at least complete some of these projects that are ongoing.
Okay, let me start with your second point. It's a very good point. We have taken that up. We've compiled all those projects on computer. It's not easy. It's get fund. It's get fund projects. Some of it is 85% complete, some 40, 60, and it's stopped. I mean, I think it's flats behind Agami House. It's about 85%, almost 90. But it's been there for about 15 years. 15 years. And it's still, we are not allowed to deal with it because it's a get fund project. Okay. What we have recently done is compile that, and one of our mates has undertaken that to give me those things, and I will go in there and probably get some of those things. But if get one said they're going to complete because obviously some of the funds are really big back a little bit and yes, we have realized that, and we are taking action to see what we can get support. And then the protocol, I'm not going to comment on that now because there's a committee that's pregnant. Some of what you mentioned come to the attention of the committee. So let's wait for them to finalize their report and then we can do that.
Thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on what especially with respect to the several committees that have been set up, the right direction. What we would like to have more is communication between what you are doing and the constituents. But we hear at the back here, we have discussion on platform, lots of questions are thrown up. It's only then that we hear that, oh, there's a committee that has been set up, we go around. So we're going to agree with you that we have more communication as far as what we are doing, the different committees, what they are doing, and also the committee members should also be able to regularly update their constituents on what they are doing, so that there's any need for input, etc. We can have better.
sense where we have different representatives from North American regions sitting on the board. So I expect that because all those things are shared within the community, they will also come out, and I think they do that well as well. So we will take that. Yeah.
For years, one of my biggest criticism of the NEC was the poor communication. You always had to draw information out of them. And for those in the UK, or I know there are some people who seem to know everything on the UK platform, even before I did. One of my biggest criticism was that. And I wrote extensively against that because, just as you said, you don't hear about anything. And then suddenly something appears somewhere on the platform. That is changing. Because I said to the president, that's one of the things we have to do. Just get in touch with. So that's it on the GEC, and any relevant information. I have instituted what we call the Saturday Wednesday. On a Saturday Wednesday, that's every Wednesday, nobody can put anything on the platform except the executive. Right? Which means because on the other days, you get everything from how to prepare cocoa. And therefore, important messages get lost in the hurricane of what is supposed to be. So, what I'm going to put as president, if it has any other applications or any so it's important that North America and also the local platforms and members of the various committees we get that going because lack of communication brings suspicion. And that's what we want to avoid. So there's work ongoing in that direction. Maybe I'm not going to find a way of doing that. Or we have an additional Wednesday. Nobody can post anything from 6 o'clock to 6 p.m. 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 p.m. It's only the executive we can put it in there. And that's when we flood the platform with relevant information for
People at the company.
That's not being controlled.
Yes.
Because that law has been put out, everybody that puts something outside that gets shut down. First time physically.
Hold on one second. Similarly,
Yes, who is Aoba's representative on the GEC and how did he get it?
Aoba North America representative.
I'm sorry?
Aoba North America.
Yes, Aoba is representative on the GEC and how did he get it?
The two co-presidents sit on it.
Okay.
Your two co-presidents.
They sit on it.
Both Aaron and Kofi.
and the UK president.
And the UK president and secretary sits on it.
Okay, alright, thank you.
It appears that most of the work being done in the school is done by but majority of the work in the school is done by old students. However, we don't have a lot of power in terms of what we do and how we control the school. I'm recommending that, let's say from 1980 all the way down to, say, 2015, we have guys that are lawyers in the army, and so on and so forth. I'm suggesting that we should gather, let's say, one each from each year group, and then wrestle the school from GS. Because evidently, they're not on
My presentation has to do that, so I would like to emphasize that talk about.
Well, all I'm going to say is that strategic communication becomes important and relevant as we try to grow and restructure. We all know Adisada is over 100 years, and so we should function like a corporate entity that is distributed across the globe. And so now, even though we are an educational institution, strategic communication becomes imperative. And I think this is where the school owl can be revived as a mouthpiece for what is going on campus. Because many people are likely not to participate if they have no idea what is going on in the school. Even if we give money through our dues and other things, we want to make sure that the money ends up in the project. So I'm on the strategic planning committee, and so we are in the process of the formulation, implementation of the strategy. And this issue about taking over the school has come up. I don't know whether some of you may be aware. Recently, the Catholic bishop called on President Akufo-Addo and expressed concern about the declining infrastructure on Catholic schools. And Senior Kojoyanka, whom is our chairman on the strategic planning board, sent it to us that this may be, a tip of the iceberg. That if the Catholic schools are thinking about taking over their schools, because everything is declining, academic performance, infrastructure is dilapidated, it may be a cue for Anglicans also to do that, but it hasn't reached there yet. And then we also learned that legally, at the Saddle's title deed, the land in the school is deeded to the Anglican Church, not to GES. So we are still exploring the legal implications of the points raised, but back to Sinorim, we need a strategic communication medium to inform and guide our understanding of what is going on in the campus.
Well said, well said.
So basically, I'd just like to piggyback on what you were saying. You mentioned earlier that if the headmasters usually don't have any say in terms of enrollment, okay? If they are being silenced by the government, we should be able to have some type of stakeholders should push back. At some point, the old boys need to stand up if the headmasters cannot say anything because they are being silent, because we are basically responsible for the infrastructure of the school. So at least we should be able to push back to the government. Whoever the minister is, we should be able to let them know our people's mind. That's it. And then have some type of course of action. That's my apology.
I agree with you. That's exactly what we do.
The project that was, they showed us was probably one of the most relevant projects that has been done in Addis in a very long time. But I do still wonder, how many projects are we going to continue to do? We don't have enough land for however many projects that we plan. Endowment, I know we've spoken about that in the past, and I believe that there was an endowment that was formed, but I don't know how much money is in it. But can we, instead of maybe doing projects every year for the next 10 years, can we have a moratorium or maybe even 5 years? If it's $200,000 for 5 years, can we use that money for endowment? And then maybe we can use, anytime we do a project, we can put a name on those years on that project. It was 97 years group or whatever, their name on it. Because we keep spending the money and spending the money. Can't we just invest this money and use the interest on it to do the project?
Yeah. Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and that's where
after the 98 guys project, we have put that moratorium and said, we need to, and I did in my submission indicate that every project has a maintenance burden, which is becoming an issue. So that's the reason why we've now stepped back and say, what can we do to it? And that's part of the reason we've gone into the solar. Okay, but outside that, we have relaunched the endowment fund, and that's what we call a trust fund. And that's part of reasons why executives have launched this evening's listing as contributions to make sure that goes. That's been launched in Ghana in October. The UK group are starting to launch theirs, and they are also looking at various things like what you talked about. So yes, the endowment fund, it's the way to go, and frankly, most major schools in the US are run on endowment, right? And that's what sustains them. It's not just the school fees or the things that go in there. It's the endowment that allows them to even give scholarships and do all other things. So we're pushing that. So please be the champion for pushing the trust fund. Okay? And make sure you collect as much money as you can. Yes. So that is the way we're going. But in terms of the projects I've already spoke about, yes, we have recognized that and have put a switch on that, and we're looking at other means which will help the operating cost of the school, which includes investment in solar. Cost of power is going up. And imagine that you go to the school sometimes and the house is dark because they've run out of credit.
And just to add to what you say, just quickly, you see, as year groups are raising funds and building on campus, like you said, more buildings are coming on campus. The second thing is that as global, if we are raising money for the endowment fund, you're going to be competing with the year groups raising money for their individual projects. And so it's crowding out the funds from over generals, you know. So this helps if we think in that way. Another thing is that if we are able to siphon money from year groups that are responsible for speech days towards this, I think strategically it's easier than trying to raise money globally. I mean, I know we've tried it several times. I don't know how much was raised in Ghana recently last year, but at least you know there's a consistent flow of money coming into the endowment fund every year from the year groups.
Yeah. Sure. Look, what we've got on the end, I mean, I had a conversation with one of the seniors just before I came in terms of endowment or trust fund. How we learned it in Ghana, money was collected, but we need to have a means in which on a yearly basis we contribute to that. So that's being looked at. I mean, that's the reason why what we've done is we're not globally, we segmented it into North America, UK, and Ghana. And each of those areas have a target to meet and the intention, and we put a target of $1 million each region. Okay, I don't know when we'll get there, maybe 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, but the intent is that in each of the regions, they have peculiar ways of how funds can be raised. The way we raise in Ghana might not be the same that in the US or the UK. So, well, we're going to look at all those things. Then ideas are welcome in terms of how we can continue keeping the endowment fund or trust fund contribution fund. When we do get there, we get that target, it will be less onerous of all the year groups and people individually, because we'll have a fund that will probably generate the interest to be able to give to the school.
And maintain.
Now, part of it will be the maintenance and other principles. I mean, for example, the PTA used to pay for part of the security of campus. Now PTA doesn't necessarily work, and you're not supposed to collect anything on PTA. So that's been cut back.
One question. I mean, we have about 10 minutes more for this segment. We can have 5 more if we need to, but I understand there are some questions on Zoom. So I'll take 2 more questions from here, and then we'll have him read some of the questions.
I've been trying to speak for the last 1 hour.
Okay, I'll get that.
Reverend.
So I would like to, I just talk a little about communication. Everybody's brought it up. I've been to a lot of these meetings and it always comes up. It's been coming up since my dad was on the board to now, that people need transparency. If our involvement depends on the transparency and the information that you get, right? People want to give and they want to be involved, but if they don't have the information, they can't do anything. So I think as a group, we need to make some serious decisions about what we're willing to invest in communication, because it has to be somebody's job. You can't expect the volunteers to go and do all the amount of time that they have and then come home and package it together in the way that we need to see it and then blast it out. So the album has been revived several times over the years, and then it's died because funding, things like that. So I think as a group, we need to, as a global group, we need to award some of our funds to funding a secretariat, as we have discussed, and basically keep it running and functioning as a communication tool for all of us. And secondly, I think what happens sometimes is that, this year group mentioned it, when we get information, we all kind of digest it. And what is very hard for a lot of us is that if we don't have our input, it's hard for us to back it, right? And I think sometimes as a group, we need to get on board with, things that are already happening or have happened, even if we don't have a hand in it. So that's the second part. With a lot of information comes a lot of dissensions that end up maybe handcuffing us in the long run, because we don't move forward, because we don't have opinions that we can, talk about for days or argue about for days, right? But at the same time, we still need to do the work. So those are two pieces of communication that I think we need to kind of think about. First, we need to invest. But secondly, what we do with that information when we get it and how we disagree respectfully and move forward as a group is also something else that we all need to consider as we go to that direction, right? So.
Okay, let me quickly answer. The same reason why we formed the communication initiative group. We started off and it's just working on, so we'll tighten that up. I think that's the unit. What we intend to do is at least release the newsletter every quarter. Okay. Every quarter we do all the projects and things that happen during the period. You realize that did happen once or twice and it's just died over here. So, but it goes to the point we're saying if we have some point people coordinating that, because everybody's working, sometimes it becomes difficult, and that's why I talked about having a secretariat, and that secretariat will govern. It's all money. We cannot build that with thousands of cities a year. No.
My name is Agwego Kumoji. I like what the senior said.
You're welcome.
I want to speak on the issue about maintenance. I think that we need to restructure our attitude about maintenance. People know the project that we are doing around I'm really the same project in the portal. We are getting about $100,000. And every day I wake up, people say, Kumoji, maintenance. I think it's true that we are building too fast. I was asking Senator Bohan, how is people have retained? And he said, because sometimes we used to buy business. We need to have a centralized maintenance department that is within all these buildings on an ongoing daily basis. When you go to Jamaica to go and enjoy yourself, you go to those resorts, every day they are retained. If people houses they are related, which my wife saw earlier this year, it is to the discredit of the whole school system. We need to focus more on maintenance. And it has to be a charity approach. When you go to the school and people who have a night house, it's not that students or old boys from people house will gather some money this summer and take it out. We need to have a centralized maintenance department beginning Monday to protect this high-end. That's what I was saying.
Okay, let me respond to that. Let me respond.
My money is there.
Your money is there? Excuse me, let me answer you. Let me answer you. First, in my supervisor, we have set up a maintenance committee, which is chaired by this man, Yaya. Okay, they are putting that, what they've done is that they've gone to the school, taking account of all the structures, and doing a big breakdown in terms of what is required in maintenance and all that, and all these things have been put together. What I'll do is get them to give us an update that will help be broadcast so that, because maintenance is on the mind of everybody and all of us. Okay, because if you spend the money and you don't maintain, you're just going to destroy it. And you're right. So that team, and I don't have the full list of the team here now. I've got it on sheet. I'll show it to you. They're looking at that. So yeah, and they will come out with a plan of how we're going to, the school is going to maintain. But if the school is going to be maintained, it's not going to come from government sources. Okay. And that's part of why we need the endowment or trust fund, which then will once we understand our maintenance burden for the school, there will be an allocation to that department or specific, which will then take care of all those things. So it goes in the cycle. Okay. I got two more questions in the back, and then we'll go to you.
Mr. President, my name is Hassan Ansel. You said the kids are, we don't pay, parents are not paying PTA fees anymore. Now, I'm my ward from one now, and I think PTA, I don't know why. You're supposed to, my mother's from actually, the Catholic parents only pay. PTA, I don't know whether the school has very good.
No, the government has banned PTA levies.
But it's probably not, they're not looking at it as PTA by paying something.
So that's why.
To the school?
No, to the house. The house masters collect there.
I can answer that one for you. When houses are doing their internal renovations, when houses are doing their internal renovations, the house master liaises with a couple of parents and they reach out to parents to help them out.
Unfortunately, they pay per course.
That is what I'm saying, that it's all in the presentation. Probably they're not doing it right, but that is what it's all about.
Well, maybe the president has to do that.
So that in his delivery.
To that, but what I'm saying is that previously, when you get your child bill as a PTA, it doesn't come anymore. Because the headmasters are not allowed to do the PTA. So we'll check that.
I wanted to help Dr. Redua a little bit.
Yeah, no, we can't hear you. I know you got a voice.
Oh, I do. I wanted to help Mr. President a little bit on the issue of us beginning with the 1998 year group. I think this conversation is going to go way back to like 10 years ago, where the 1998 year group was kind of like the last year that was going to build a project by themselves, right? Any other year group that comes after 1998 was going to be responsible for dealing with renovations on campus. So we are kind of like reiterating conversations that have already been done. Any other year group that happens after 1998 is responsible for renovations, period. And on top of it, there is a section of their project cost that has to do with maintenance. So it's already factored in. Like my
15%.
Yes, my year group, for instance, the 2000 year group, I have buffered it with about $70,000, right, to maintain for the next 10 years, take care of maintenance. So sometimes, you know, it happens that we keep having these conversations over and over and over again, but the policies and the outlines, the plans are already set. Communication is key, right? It's paramount to everything that we do. So sometimes it is important that we bring everybody on board. We have regular meetings like this. Individuals that you have on committees, some subcommittees, we push for them to make sure that their constituents are involved, are informed, and everyone, so that when we come to meetings like this, we are not involved with repetitions. Because that is what drags us behind. That is what pulls us, way back, and by the time we leave you, we are still at ground zero. That has to end, right?
Thank you.
It ends today if it's not.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like I'm opposed, right? Every year, you know, you see new faces that just actually it's my first time doing Aoba office, right? I understand what you're saying. Very well, but I feel like we don't need to start trying to work with anytime you see this should be a good one, if he says something about like centralized innovation, but one never understand this. The school is not a profit generation body. It's not for profit. So if the students are not paying BTS, how are they going to work? Generate that money to work, innovate that. So in the long sense, I think we have to focus on the endowment fund or the trust fund to generate that money to push for that project. It's a good thing that they said that putting at what no position going on. That's a great thing.
Okay, so we have to go to the two questions, right? So the other question.
Alright, so the first question here says that, well, if the TS is the owner of the school, what right does the board or the Italian old boys have? You don't fight your employer, you negotiate. So let's find common ground to negotiate. So it's just a comment. And then I think this is also from Alonso from Madagascar. They said, will the establishment of the secretariat alleviate the communication issue? And then there's another one says, mind-blowing, government is broke, but still want to hold on to secondary schools. Sound autocratic to me. And then the fourth question is...
The third question.
The third question. The other one was a statement. The third question says that, guys, you are doing awesome work. My question is, how we should learn not to use militant approach in any form of negotiation. You never win. You never win. Alright. It says you never win because government would always crash you out. And then the final question says
but
that...
he said we should use military people and
they're always ready. Now the last question says that we have great Santa Clausians in government. I believe the Deputy Attorney General is a Santa Clausian, Alan Tremonti is a Santa Clausian, and a host of them. Can the board sit with them to negotiate and get government to understand that I decided to have a tradition and we want to maintain that? Is it possible? Thank you very much. These are all the questions. Yeah, they are.
Thank you very much, Dr. Britt. When we want to invite the president of the North America 97 years Dr. David to come and give a presentation on the 21st century legacy.
Yeah, the flag. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
In the interest of time, I'll start talking. So one coming out and we'll keep up with it. But I want to say thank you very much. Big thanks to George. George approached me and asked me to give a talk. And the good thing is he gave me he has a project he's been working on. So he sent me to look at it. I took a look at it and I decided to give my little spin on it. The interesting thing is a lot of the subjects that I'm going to talk or touch on is being brought up. General Kito, I think you will like what I'm going to talk about because I share your sentiments, but not the military aspect. I think most of you touched on it, and I think I've already got some questions asked on it. And I think the very last question was voted up. The title of the topic I wanted to give is Reimagining and Set Up College for the 21st Century. I'm not talking about buildings, structures. I'm talking about the future. I think we took Donald Trump's slogan, Make America, but we said keep at Set Up College, not keep Set Up College. We know that the standard of education in Ghana at Southern College in the early 1900s and almost compared to the standard of education in the US. Somehow, somehow after independence, when the government took over, it declined. So, I have a slide up. So, now let me get back to the talk. So the talk is supposed to be a thought-provoking discussion. And I don't think I'm talking about something that is new. Already I said that ideas is already developed. The whole idea is why can't we make an Southern College a private American institution where the old boys, the administration, the stakeholders have control over it and cut away all this bureaucratic red tape away from it. That I believe is the only way we can realize our vision, the more what our school stands for, either the first or the first. Ever since government took appreciate the challenge, this is realizing this goal. And for the political aspect of it, I think some of the tactics on it, and also the economics, the financial aspect of it, and the governance. I may not touch base on all of it, but the whole idea is after this talk, this conversation can go on. Hopefully next year somebody can take a portion of it and expand on it. And hopefully the seeds of it will be sown starting from today. So I put this slide out there, all right, just for us to get a good vision. Harvard is there, Oxford is there, because, I mean, I don't want anybody to answer, but these two, anybody know idea which schools that is the best for these two schools? Harvard, bottom right. Harvard, right, and Oxford is there, the top two. Any ideas? Interestingly, one of them is really connected to us. Hamlin, our founding father, actually went to Harrow School. And Harrow is the one here, that's Eton. I brought that up because Southern College was started in the image of these schools. These schools were built in the 1400s, 1500s, in Elizabeth King fifth time. And then the type of governance during that time has changed over the century to keep the school as a top prep school as it is today. The type of government during 1400s, 1500s, 1600s over time changed. That's because they had leaders who were sitting on the boards, they had vision, even though the primary goal of the institution was the same, but they were looking to the future to make sure the school stays either the first or the first. And that is where we need to be. And if we want to go that direction, then we can keep the status quo as it is now. So, during my research, I found this little original copy. I'll just give you 30 seconds for everyone to take a look. All right, you can read, it's not really to us. but I found it was very interesting.
Are you carrying from here?
Yeah, can you read it out?
Can you summarize it? The purpose of this annual hour is both national and missionary. We desire to take our part with others in providing a sound, spiritual, moral, and intellectual training for the youth of this land, to equip them with an efficient manner for their future calling. The fact that others are seeking to do this work needs not to deter us. We wish them success in their work as we seek success ourselves. We have no desire to climb by pushing others down. Our school motto is welcome, welcome premise. I am the first, probably the first. And then the rest goes on and on and on. This is original document by Right Reverend Nathaniel Temple Hammond. So this document was written way back around 1909, before the school was born, somewhere 1910 or 1909. So this should serve as a guide, it's a living document, just as the US would think of the Constitution as a living document. Next slide. So, it just
this one too.
Okay, yeah, this one is better. That was his primary goal. That was the vision he had for the school. I said to myself, just take away national and go global. And you think how many was doing that today about what the world is doing today. I don't think we knew what the world was going to be 100 years from now. But if you just take the word national out of it and put global, it's almost like this is talking to us now today. That is how we need to think. That is how we need to go. And in order to do that, you have to understand the local politics, the national politics, the global politics, the external politics. Because a kid today in Ghana, a kid today at External College is not competing with students in External College in Ghana. It's competing with kids in the United States, England, Madagascar, you name it. You have experts coming to work in Ghana, vice versa. So the same job in Ghana is not just for the kid in Ghana, but somebody else, somewhere around the world is going to get that job. So how can we get our students prepared for the global world? That's right. Next slide, question. So just a very tight pace on some of them, right? How many, just for point, was the bishop of the Accra Archdiocese from 1910 to during his time, that's when he had the Southern College built up. And then, so obviously the creation of the Southern College started around that time. And then just understand that the school was a private institution once, a private institution, from 1910 to independence. Somewhere during independence, the political landscape changed, the government took over and became more of a public government institution. So let's not think that it was never was private, it was. It's just that when the politics of the country changed, maybe the willpower, the intellect, and how to perceive everything was left to the government. So it's time for us to look back. That's always a sacrifice, so let's think about it. Next slide. So the challenges and the targets, the politics and the legal aspect of it. For my research, talking to Senior George, he's been a great resource helping me put this presentation together. I believe in the past, some old words have tried, and then some Jonah was found out and stuff. I don't know how far they got to. But we have to really understand the laws and provisions of the land governing education or by the Ministry of Education, how they work. So that's when we need to form a legal team. They need to study law of the land. And then that's where our politicians and those who come in, they have to be strategic in their approach, find loopholes or how to go about it. The politicians using their influence. So it takes time, but let's know that this is what we're working towards to and be strategic about it. And maybe if it all doesn't work, then George will tour it and we'll let you also mobilizing the grassroots. It's a financial burden. We need to understand the finance, obviously the politics, and then we have a lot of old boys, intellectual minds, how to approach this. So, like Dr. Ray was saying, some have said, Arizona College, if you look through the year groups for the last 40 years, we have great minds in all aspects of society. So it's time for us to mobilize our classrooms and tap into it, and then use our resources to achieve this goal. Next slide.
The other challenge, we talked about it, economics. I won't go too much into it, but it was just interesting that when I was talking to Senior George, I asked him, so what is the budget for the school a year? And he's like, young man, if I tell you, you know, then I'm kidding. There's no. The headmaster, if you go to him, I bet you don't have a street on River View. If you go to Ghana Education Service, I don't think they have it. I bet the details somewhere there, but that's probably not your best interest to show it because somebody used to do something like somewhere else or something. So hard data to understand the annual budget of the school adjusting for inflation. So that's why it becomes like if we really are serious and want to set up for it and want to go this direction, well, among ourselves, we can have a team that is on IT and finance, accounting. They can look at the expenditure of the school, you know, adjust for inflation, and then have a board. And that way, the maintenance sense we're talking about, you know, understand the budget and then, you know, allocate money for that. But then, once again, we come back to fundraising, all right? How much money we need to have, the endowment fund that we've already started. So, the interesting thing is we have elements of things that we need to do already in motion. We just need to bring it together. It takes time. And then I do just touch base on the benefits of this idea of taking it over. All right? We can create our own system of checks and balances. The fact that the headmaster is silenced, he's not silenced anymore. He's part of the governing body. So there will be a better way of checks and balances within the system. You know, and that's a whole different topic on how to structure governance. So the key thing is the old boys. We do 80% of the project in the last 20, 30 years. We have a seat at the table on how, you know, decisions are made, things are run, oversight, all of that. Accountability, we talked about that. Transparency, we talked about that. Our role in it. And then my office administrative assistant really put the web positive changes. Because yesterday I was working on it, it's like, just saying that you guys can make positive changes, nothing negative changes, like everything's going to be positive. So we can act on changes that we want to do, without going through the red tapes of Ghana Education Service and some competitions or what is going on. All it is the board, the governing body sits down and make a decision, and then implementation goes out. Another benefit, and I'll let you enjoy the fact that we can implement programs for the school to make sure these students are better off. So before I said, George's baby has a project called the 21st Century Student Project. So that's what gave me a little inspiration with my title. And I don't want to go too much into the bottom line is programs, curriculum, things designed for the students to make sure the students not only survive this world, but thrive in this global world. The skills, critical thinking, analysis, you know, that is key. You know, I'll just give a little bit. When I came to, after this, I came to university here, and the interesting thing is the hardest class for me was English. Not because I enjoy English, because we read a book, and then we go write a 10-page paper about something. And then this lady will talk about, oh, the sky and the blue, they don't make up a lot of quote-unquote factual shit about the sky and the blue, and we'll connect stuff, and I'm sitting there, the sky is blue, so what? That's one line. And I'm stuck, I can't, you know, allow myself to freely think. It took me to my third year before I developed that kind of thinking where I can, somebody say emotional, connect dots, make sense. But the idea is to allow someone to really think, allow the brain to just process things. And that's what kids over here do. You know, all the movies we watch is somebody's imagination. And we enjoy it. Where does it come from? It's all from critical analysis, critical thinking. Releasing the mind. You become to like, if the teacher say atom is the smallest element, and you say atom is an element that's so small, you're wrong. It doesn't make sense. You're not allowed to express yourself. So that is one thing. And then we talk about lands and projects on the campus. We can't keep putting projects on because we only have, you know, maybe 30, 50 acres of land. We can only put so much on it, but we need to preserve the land. You know, with the beauty of Alexander College is the forest, the monkeys, the stuff we see. So we also need to be green, conscious about it. So if we have our own private institutions, we can be able to know that we're not touching this land and preserving it for this experience it makes the campus also beautiful. Next slide. And then I think I was saying that I think I found that they stopped election on campus. Yes. I've never voted in Ghana. My first taste of election was when I went to high school. And then at that time, I had the last 2 years of the system there, so elections there. And I was in awe when the seniors coming in, campaigning, debates,
alliances, you know, and then the negative politics, the positive politics. It gave me a taste of it, and so that they learn from it. So that's a tradition that is going down there. Most of the students. Now I think that's something that's missing for students to do. And then companies is also going. So there's a key tradition that is key to African that we can, you know, if we know what we should be, that we can bring those things back. Collaboration with private entities. The other companies that we can draw them, talk about funding. You know, name labs, donors after them, they contributing roles and stuff, collaboration with them. And then obviously we still take part in the national program. We're now making ourselves isolated ourselves from the Ghanaian, you know, schools and stuff. So we can still be part of Interpol, Masquerades, you name it, other projects. So we still have the best of Ghana stuff and still moving ahead with how we're going. And then I'll be very quick on this one. It's something that is a little stale. It's a rhetorical question. All of us here, right? Most of us, we have sons who are about either high school age or past high school age or yet to get there. But if today I tell you, are you willing to make the son go to Arizona College for the next 3 years? And for various reasons, you say no, but we all know that as much as we love our school and what it's done for us, if you look at the standard of education, not just in school, but in Ghana, compared to what the kids in university, what they're exposed to, you feel like, you stay here, you can listen to it. Yeah. But if the standard and the quality, the resources is the same as what we have here, I'm not willing to them I can go for another 3 years, and knowing that when he's back, he's on the same level. And he gains more cultural experience, exposure, so he becomes a better person for the world. So let's look at that. However, let's keep in mind, the immigration laws in this country will change with time. They've been fighting over it. Immigration laws in Europe will change. You know, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, most of us, we finish and easily come to the United States or Europe for education. Over time, there will be less of that opportunity for people to come in. So the pool of the old boys in diaspora, we should look at it. So what a better way to have our sons to go there. When it does it, it's still continue your tradition. You know, father, son sharing that tradition where, because I think what I want to do is some of the old boys that your father or uncles were there. It's always great to have that family tradition going. Now I feel like it's been broken because some of us, our sons never went there to see the father and then that's the end of that from line. So something little. And then I say, we dare to dream. Who knows? Someday one of the kids will become the prime minister, governor, or president. I got the Strauss financial guy, his father's an old boy. So the Strauss people were the former prime minister. I think his son was an old boy, right? So imagine he had got the son had got to settle. See how so I'm just saying you never know. Someday one of our children, if it happens, will be the president of the United States or prime minister. So you know, we dare to dream. It may happen. And then the last one. Conclusion. Sorry. Last conclusion. I'm not saying it's all rosy, right? When I talk to my wife about it, when I talk to Senior George and a few people, the first thing I can say, I used to listen to my community school. Yeah, so there, not really prestigious, that's it. It's not a bad thing. Harvard, Eton, Harvard, it's an elite school, but they have programs because they have such huge endowment funds. Every year they have committees or admission where they look for kids who are potential with talent in post economic backgrounds that they're able to bring and sponsor the full scholarship or partial scholarship. The same thing can be done for kids in Ghana who don't have that financial power to be talented. We have subcommittees that can look up for these kids in that region and bring them in. So it's not a bad thing, it's how we communicate that aspect to society. And then the last thing I want to say is from the Penham's document, like I said, it's a living document. Let this serve as a guide to us. Rome was not built in a day. Civil rights was not achieved overnight. It's going to be, a process to get there. It will take time. There will need to be strategic patient. And I believe that if an Isabel college wants to sit back at the table of the elite schools that are top, then I think it's about time we move as a private Anglican, institution and cut away the government controlling and telling us what to do. Yeah.
So question for The question for you is that good presentation, but do you think the Anglican Communion is ready to take on the government and to act that and decided to become a private institution? The bishops themselves are in bed with government. Government and government and government. Let's think real. Thank you.
All right. I'll take my question back. Yeah. Okay. You've been comparing Addisababa to Harvard. Harvard is training people online. I think we should think outside the box. If you keep, you gain something from being on campus, but in the long run, we should think outside the box where people can get educated online. Thank you. You cannot always have people, the infrastructure is eventually going to get maximized and updated. So, is there any plan to figure out how people can get educated? Perhaps they can come on campus from Form 1 to Form 3. I know it's changed. I was in the 70s, so forgive me. But depending on what you do, perhaps you could get educated online so that you get that experience of being bullied and going to eat red, and at the same time get your degree at the end of the line, which may even be cheaper for some families, because some families cannot afford to bring their kids to campus.
Yes.
Okay, and it's something we should seriously look into. Some hybrid, and eventually transition to online education. People are getting master MBA from Georgetown online, and definitely we can get a high school online.
Thank you, Reverend Kakwe Hughes, Elliott House 88. Thank you very much for your comment, and for the work you put into it. It seems to me that the goal that you're looking at is we are talking about the goal of restoring a disco to past glory. And it seems to me that the going private is really a strategy to achieve that goal. Now, I wonder whether that might be the only strategy, or I wonder whether we might consider perhaps a government-private partnership, a sort of a joint venture. It seems that if we are to come up with this endowment, if you are to come up with processes where more of our old boys are going to be involved on the board, I wonder whether we could create a structure where we have more of us on the board, we have a greater commitment, greater financial resource from us on the board, and in essence, try to create the same pathway without having more of an antagonistic, we are going to take over pathway. And what I have in mind, I'm talking about is I think that if we can perhaps go this route in a very robust way, this might be a model, not just for a disco, but this is the kind of model that, Bible Wesley Girls and all other schools can in essence participate in a model like that. That's I wanted to sort of put that out there for consideration.
Yes, I would like to ask you
Okay, thanks so much for all the comments, especially for what you talked about, bringing what we call a university student. And then the contribution is what I think that's something very good for senior already. As to if there was the same way as represent itself to be the best school who have WASI online. And we do have STEM technology input. We do have programs by the 6-year group is set up the country for services that are mostly and they utilize that system. So if we are able to do such targets in front of us, let's see if we can put WASI online, who probably be the first to do that, and then going to end up having online students that we talk about. Yeah. Those are things that we talk about thinking outside the box. We're the first to do it. We are investing a lot of technology to make that happen. And I think once we do that as well, we can be able to make that happen.
Yeah. And to add to that, we can all be involved. This man is a distinguished CPA. Are you telling me that if we have a platform on a Saturday, we cannot look at the guys in Cape Coast at 101, This guy is in human resource. That guy is a very good English guy. What's his name? Chris Mensah. To underscore the importance of the new era that we are in. Doctor, he's one of the reasons why I'm building an ICT lab in the water. This is the time that we need to be moving from the traditional brick and mortar block to something else. Sir, a gentleman in Ghana teaches my children mathematics every Saturday from Ghana. Just by using Zoom.
Let me add to that. I had to cancel a class from Google Classroom to now because I'm here. So the technology is there and it's cheaper per student. So when we want our decided to go digital and teach students online, we have the resources and capabilities to do it at even a cost-effective way. So, Mr. President, it's the will and the opportunities there, it's the willingness that we are waiting for to be able to implement and execute that decision, but it is being done.
But the question you asked is that, well, remember that the school is still under the custodian of the GS. Now, the 96-year group put out a what's the word? Digital center, beautiful one. That the intent was we have students go in and do distance education and all that. My understanding is that the whole process is being iterated because GS is the custodian of the school.
Google Classroom is free.
Let me
be used now.
Let me tell you. So let me start answering some of the questions, right? So I think in terms of the government, right? I don't think we need that much data to know the effectiveness of the government, right? If you ask me, right, I'm not an economist or so, but the graphics, ever since independence, the government took over. I can tell you that the world standard in education is going that way, and unfortunately, there's a gradual slow decline in the standard of education. So, based on my experience, just for the last 30 years of experience in Ghana or in this world, at this point, I do not trust the government of Ghana to be running the school if we want to go this way. It's not going to be easy as a private entity, but we do have the mindset and capabilities. And if we can raise that money, we should be able to do this on our own. As soon as government is part of or sits on the table, you have to deal with red tapes and some bureaucratic stuff. It's, Ghana Education Service is part of the politics of Ghana. The politics of Ghana then becomes part of the education. We want to take that away so that the school can do what is right for the students or for the school. So I would say, yes, there may be different models. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but this is why I stand. That I think if we're doing it, we can work with the African church. And then the question about the African church being embedded with the government, well, maybe that's what it's been the last 50 years. Like I said, it has to be strategic and tactical. And that's why we have teams, we look for the loopholes, for the weakness, we probe, and find a way to get them on board. So bringing them on board, what is the end for them? That's what we have to ask. So, let me finish my conversation. So we have to look at it. That's why I said it's not going to happen overnight or one day, but there has to be a tactical and a strategic approach in trying to do it.
Or at least that.
And the whole idea is be a thought-provoking discussion. But I thank God we have the hearing here, Dr. Lewis here, and I hope we can take it on because, like you said, there are different committees already going on. So hoping next year there'll be a report on that we move forward or something. And then maybe 5-10 years, we're getting closer to that.
I know there are a lot more people who want to have some more discussion about this, but unfortunately, with time crunch. So I'm going to take a couple more, and then we need to move on to the next one. So, Daniel?
So I know we are having this discussion with GS, government, blah 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 blah. But don't we have Santa Clausians in those ministries? Can we bring them on board, sit them down, and have a frank, discussion with some of these guys who are in certain positions that can push certain policies? We do have a lot of people yourself.
The opportunity. But I just want to say that about acting, most of us are kids who have the opportunity that the thought came to my mind. And I wanted to throw it. Why is it that we can't have like summer camp in Addis 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so that those of us, if it's done properly, those of us in the diaspora, England, whatever, we can take our voice to stay on Addis camp to see what we do, and that can also generate some funds for the schools.
So I'll tell you something. Right now, they have this two-track system, right? So there's barely any time. I mean, when I heard about it, like, when one step finished within 1 week, another set is coming. So I said, why don't the teachers can get a break to recruit, regenerate? So two-track system, back that time, you have a long summer break, almost 3 months. And then the final year can stay on campus for 6 weeks and all that. So if it was, so my idea is, if we have this program, then the amount of students on campus will be less. So that is less stress on infrastructure. That means there's more that gap, that informational gap needs to happen. And then a program like that you're talking about, and it's even easy to enact in a private institution because guess what? Old boys have strong contribution to the schools. So it's an idea from the old boys. It's easy welcome. But right now, you're like, hey, it's not gonna happen. So,
I'll take 2 more and then we are done. Senior Tito.
We just move on.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Okay, so I do think that we are doing well, right? I do believe that we are doing well, and it cannot always be blown, in a negative way, like you have said. I do think that we do have some groups or committees or clubs on campus. Like we have cadets, we have the police, the soldiers, we have wildlife, we have all these other groups on campus. Well, we can, it just takes willingness of the people. We can establish a maintenance club. Okay, you did make mention of a summer program that we can institute. It just takes the willingness of all of us, or a few of us, to institute a maintenance club on campus, right? And then through that, we can build a tradition where in Adisada, we have a maintenance club where the students takes care of their own. It shouldn't be something that is so difficult to achieve. It is possible, and it takes only a few of us, just like the Robotics Club. It started from Congress, here. And guess what? We did it, and it's happening. We have a Robotics Club on campus, and it's happening as we speak. Have they won awards? Have they gone to events? Have they won? Yes, they have. How many years ago did this program start? About 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm right. And we are still doing it. It's still ongoing. We can institute the maintenance club. We can invest in it, and together, Adisada, what is your thing again? Adisada will be great again.
No. Keep it great.
Great idea.
Adisada will be the ultimate.
Will be the ultimate.
I'm not saying it's very doom and gloom and stuff, but I'm saying I'm looking to the future, right? 1910 to now, 2023, 23 or something like that, right? So I think we should never underestimate the talent and potential of each kid, right? The question is the environment and resources provided for the kid to compete and thrive in the world we are in. And the question is, so I don't question that. I tell people case study is look at us. Some of us, I mean all of us study class when I'm doing Ghana, majority of Ghana, but sometimes when you sit down and you have some conversation, you don't tell everyone to say about this and that. The programs that you talk about is about sustainability, right? The old boys are doing their very best to do that. I think you're all willing to do that. But when you hear about these red tapes, the government says X, Y, and Z, it breaks your will sometimes. You have to accept that. So how long can we keep on doing this if the government says that? At some point, we need to allow us to do what we like to do. So I'm saying it's all about sustainability. These programs, I was there with the cadets, I'd like you to go on all the programs are about, is it sustainable with the government always telling you what to do? That is the one.
So that's it. We are about to end. We move on to the next item at the beginning, and I'm going to take opportunity to do that. Just to orient us all to where the facilities are. Look to my right, there's an exit door. As soon as you get out of that door to your left, you see them labeled there, the restroom. So just in case. So I'm going to invite my good friend Onos Barrow to come talk about avalanche.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Yes. Thank you for giving me 5 minutes to talk about the most important thing here. As always, all we do is to give you the financials as of year end last year. Mr. 5 minutes.
Fine.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question. Please go ahead. Oh,
Cut the ball.
Go ahead, Mr. Wakil.
So please,
Thank you, Senior Mate. On the issue of protocol, the GEC, Dr. Reid addressed that earlier, but we realize it's broken. And it's a work in progress, so I will wait till that report comes out. But we hear the points you've made, and they all food for thought as with every other point that has been made here. And I'm glad we're having this open discussion about our grade school. Thank you. So, another thought.
All right, like I said, we are here to talk about the most important thing, which is our balance sheet, because as you all know, without the funds, some of these items cannot go on. So I'm here to present to you our fiscal year 2022 statement of activities and balance sheet. All right, so in 2022, we brought in a total revenue of close to $30,000. Yes, that's right. Blow it up.
So we can see just fine. That's good.
Compared to 4,800 the prior year. As you all remember, we had a lot less activities during 2021 because of COVID. But at this point in time, we can stop using COVID as an excuse. So we jumped from 4,800 to 29 or $30,000. In terms of our expenses, we spent about $34,000, and the prior year was $15,000. So in the prior year, we still had students on scholarships, so we paid out those scholarships to the students. I believe at that time we had about 8 of them, $11,000, and then we also saved $3,000 for the Acropolis.
Point of correction. You are giving accounts. You can't just say, rather, it should be the detail correct.
Thank you. I will check it. So we made a loss in 2021. We made a loss in 2021 of about $10,000, and then in 2022, $4,800 loss. This is actually the first 2 years that we made losses, because obviously we haven't improved our balance sheet. So as my good friend would say, Aoba needs a very strong balance sheet, and it starts from us. You know, what I've been saying in the past 2 months is that we need fresh ideas to come. You know, we've been coming to you guys, the same people, for donations, for due drives, and all that stuff. There's so many opportunities out there that we can take advantage of. You know, there's corporate margin, we can go to our jobs, we can seek attention from the government and everything. Let's work on this balance sheet to improve our financial position. In terms of our actual balance sheet, we ended up the year with $6,000 in cash compared to $7,300 the prior year. We obviously have a $20,000 in the endowment fund, and that was pushed by myself and the president and our secretary. So what we did was that we had to be very aggressive in investing. Because the way the scholarship fund works is that any money that we get is dispersed out to those students out there in Ghana. And it takes about $1,500 to sponsor one student. And at the point in time, we had about 10 students, so that's about $15,000 a year. Last year, we couldn't take in students into the scholarship program because of what? Balance sheet. So now we are down to 6 students. We had about 3 of them graduating this year. They've done an awesome job. Several right here can testify to what they are doing. Some of them had jobs at KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I believe one of our students is graduating this year with a medical degree, and we'll be sponsoring for the past 7 years. We still had existing students. So what's happening now is that because of our weak financial position, the students are graduating. So anytime, what we used to do in the past was that anytime students graduated, we added more to the scholarship scheme. But last year we couldn't do that. And that's why we brought up the idea of raising $100,000 to kind of keep this program going. All right. In terms of the year to date, what we've done so far, please take this with a grain of salt because this is as of yesterday. Obviously, there's funds coming in, people are contributing. When we were at the Target's place last night, we saw money coming in, so that's not included here. But we'll give account of that in the near future.
And we're going to get more news today before.
Yes. So in terms of what's coming in so far, With our 100,000 fundraising, we've raised about $11,000. So give a shout out to yourselves. That's 11% of our goal. Please, tonight is a big night. You know, I know Alexander College students have old student like to party. Please come with your pocketbooks. Come and let's make this a success. The last time we had a successful fundraiser, we raised about $35,000. That was great, you know, and that was part of the endowment fund that we put in Raymond James. We haven't done that in a long time, so we are very, very aggressive this year. We're going to be very aggressive tonight to raise a lot of funds. In terms of the dues, last year we raised about $1,300 in dues. This year we are up to $2,900. That's an improvement. But I remember the highest time that we had dues was about $5,000, give or take, right? And a couple of people keep asking the questions, what do we do with the dues? Obviously, when we are doing the fundraising event, the dinner dance and all those things, we need money to pre-fund all those things. So that's where your dues go to, right? Getting the rent, the place to do the stuff, going around, moving around, buying all these different things that we use for our programs. That's where your dues are located to. So far, for the ticket payments, we've raised about $2,500 in ticket payments, and then we paid out about close to $10,000 with all these weekend activities. And then the scholarship fund, the 6 students so far, we paid out $4,500 for the first semester, right? Like I said, 3 students came on the scheme, and some of us are helping them to get jobs. And the judge has done a great job in placing some of them in different schools. So if you guys have any idea of where we can place these students, it's not enough to just get them into the education program and for them to get a degree. We need to push them to the highest level as much as we can. With that being said, I'm going to leave this forum open for about 2 minutes for any questions that anybody may have with how our finances are so far.
I understand there were a lot of questions that was put straight to the platform.
Yeah.
We have the opportunity to answer now.
So, Professor Ono,
yes,
the financial statements which have to be the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow is what you just presented.
Yes.
Okay.
The schools that are on the scholarship scheme, we have a couple of them at KNUST. We have some at University of Ghana. We have 2 students come out of University of Cape Coast, and we have one in a private university called University of Business Management or something in Accra. And we've taken a trip to them, to the schools, to spend time to them, to motivate them to get into the next level. So we have all students. The one thing that we are planning to do is to bring vocational students onto the scheme, right? So we don't want to focus on just the bachelor's degree. So we got people who are very, very good with, you know, handiwork, right? Different skill set. When people want to go to Accra for the technique and all these different things, but we need that funding to be able to do that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I was going to ask a question about the dues. It seems that we've been paying $500 for the year groups and 50 per person for a while now. Everything has gone up. We had discussions about raising the dues. When you say you collected $2,700, that seems to be like this event alone will spend all that money. So we are going to discuss, right? Let's raise it. Start with me.
So with the dues, it's very tricky because we had the $100 minimum, and we found that was a lot. So during one of the congresses, I believe 2019, we changed the model to the year groups and the individuals. So if your year group is very well organized, right, like the 89-year group, the 90-year group, the 96-year group.
Really?
94.
Come back here.
94-year group, very, very well organized. They've been paying their dues. We don't even have to call them, right? In January 96, we send their money because I'm the treasurer, obviously. Pay out. And then 88. So if your year group is not well organized, we don't want to make this a burden, right? Because we are coming to the same people for fundraising. And those fundraising can be as high as any amount that you want. You know, so run it down to $50. So I don't think increasing it is a good idea because even with the $50, you see all the
And if I think about it, I think I'm glad that somebody's thinking about that, right? We all hear about inflation, right? But even, I think if we do a better job of everybody understanding what is at stake and doing their little bit, right? And one of the ideas, reason why we consider the 500 per year group is that it throws the challenge that if I'm the only one in 89, then I always have to pay $50, or if I feel charitable, a little more, right? But it also motivates me to get, if I'm able to get about, 10 of us together, which is what we did, right? We are all there. First of all, we have the 2 months camaraderie, and then also we raise money. So my plea to us all is, let's, we all sing that song, right? There's a flavor. Let's do our part, right? 500 per year group, I don't think it's much. And if you allow us, we'll keep it at that at least for this year, but encourage more of us to pay that 500 for the year group. And if your year group is not formed, or you have 1 or 2 people here, but you got more people here, you want us to come and help you kind of galvanize them, just let us know.
Can I add something real quick? So I suggest, right, maybe not this one, maybe different, if I have a standard 1988 pledge between fundraising and pledges of paying, let's say, $4,000, $5,000. Since we gotta look at this holistically, I'm thinking I can easily waive the dues. Right? If somebody contributes $500 fundraising and I'm paying the back, since I'm keeping my eye on the balance sheet, right? I can easily absorb that person paying fundraising $500. I can easily waive the dues for that person. I think we have to look at it from motivating people, using our balance sheet as a whole.
I understand you, and I think we did talk about this in the background, right? And we gave you our reasons why we think maybe that's not a good idea now, right? So we can go back and discuss this all. I hear you, right? I hear you, and also, I hope you understand where I was coming from, right? So we have an opportunity. The Congress is where most of the time we get people to pay their dues, right? And the dues go towards a certain function, right? Yes. Now, if in the fundraising you let people know that, hey, if you donate $1,000, I'm going to take a 500 for your year due, and Kofi agrees, then that's fine. But you can't take Kofi's 500 that he donated towards a particular fundraising and just offset that with a dues. And that is where we have
The game is that the members is not necessarily the dues. We are looking holistically to increase our balance sheet. Right? I don't want to enjoy
so we can talk about that. We can talk about that.
I think our ability to raise funds is predicated on our ability to mobilize Santa Clausians, not only within the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland area, but also in the rest of the country. I attended this event in '93, and we attended with my year group mate right here. I haven't been able to attend because nobody was finding me, nobody was soliciting me. So I think that we should do a better job with the identification of our old boys, and then also finding a way to decentralize what we are doing here now. Because if I'm not coming to participate, what about the people in Texas? What about the people in California? And the dues that we are paying, is it just for old boys in the DC area or the people in Texas, California?
It's out of America. It's dues for everybody.
So the list we have is reflective of those in other states across the nation.
If we have the information, and that's part of the reason why we put that pre-registration for Congress, so that we know who we have and we add them to that data.
And I think this issue of you raise an important question, right? But the challenge is we've tried, but we tried to create these research chapters in North America, right? in practicality, it doesn't really work. We know there's a few hubs where we have a large number of centers, right? So we know there's a good group in Atlanta, there's the Northeast area, and so on. And we've used our WhatsApp platforms, Facebook, so all our social media platforms to make people aware that we're there. But frankly, if somebody is in the middle of Arizona somewhere and doesn't want to be found, we can't find them. We don't, Dr. Wade talked about the database. We sent it out, very few people. So we're open to ideas about how we can find these people, but in practice, it's very hard if people are not raising their hands and filling the database so we can, if we know they're there, there's very few people who can say they've raised their hands, they've identified themselves as scientists, and they have not been included. Right? So that's a big challenge that we have.
Let me tell you what we did, and I'm glad Dr. Reed is here because we had to also raise funds to renovate Kweku House. And we identified the same problems. You reach people, and of course, let me give you an example. The late Professor Ebo Richardson, I reached out to him through email. He didn't know me. And he was very sensitive to giving me money. He was in Kweku House, right? Everything. But he was very concerned about giving me money for the project to somebody who claimed to be a Santa Claus and didn't know me. Fortunately for me, he was a classmate of my uncle, Dr. David. So I reached out to my uncle. My uncle reached out to me and said, oh, he's my nephew, blah, blah, blah. Before I read, he sent me $500 check for Kweku House. Right? So another thing we did was, some of my seniors, even in Kweku House, I reached out to them and said, you, the 78-year group or 77-year group, be the point person for your classmates. And then some of them were very productive. They mobilized their classmates within the year group, and this is just Kweku House. They brought the money towards the renovation, and we've been going on. It's been a challenge, but that's one way to decentralize. But you need to get people who are people person, right? So who can reach out to people and people will respond.
So we have what we've done, right, when we've had growing this, and we have a WhatsApp platform for all our year group captains. So we've used a year group angle on this. So we have all our year group captains on a platform. So because I agree with you, people relate to people they know and they trust and so on. So we try to use year group captains. But so the year groups there's quite a few year groups that are organized. There's some obviously the younger, centers, they just coming up, there's some in school, things like that. Right? So our strategy was always use the year group captains and then try to do the regional chapters, right? But we realized very quickly that the year group, going through the year groups is actually the most effective. You'll see tonight when you come to the dinner. The year groups have their tables. It's the angle that works. The regional thing, there's some regions that work, but most of them, because people are very stringent.
But it shouldn't be the only angle that should work. If the year group platforms work, let's pursue it. There may be other possible groups or subgroups that can also work. Let's use everything that works.
And we are, right? So what other groups are you? I mean, give us some ideas. What are some of the other ways besides the just captain, regional groups? What other groups do you think?
Well,
yeah.
So another thing that we've done is that, like, I'm on the Lighthouse platform, and anything that goes on the year group, captain side, get them there. So these are different ideas that we can implement. But for right now, the year now is today, we are planning to raise 100,000 by the end of today. What can we do differently to get to our goal? We are currently at 11% in that, right? And that's for the fundraiser. Back to Sina Kofi's question about waiving the fee for donation. It gets a little bit it gets a little bit complex on the accounting side, right? Because we're a 501c3 under the rules of the IRS, you got to really itemize your stuff in the right way. So if somebody gives you money for a fundraiser to support a scholarship, that's what it should be allocated to. The dues, what we call it in accounting, is unrestricted, right? So if it's unrestricted, we can easily do things like this and get away with that. So with that being said, I think our time is up for the financials. We are calling on anybody who hasn't paid dues here. Right now, oh yes, I'm sorry, I think of it.
Let's eat first.
Back to the people.
So, I'm going to go back to the balance sheet thing. Anybody who hasn't paid their dues in this particular setting, I mean, we are talking about the food, right? We've got to pay for that.
I haven't paid.
Yes, so we have every means. We take everything through. $50 a year. You look like your group is very organized, so yours is $500.
I'll be so organized myself.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The food is coming. The food is coming. I want to prepare the younger generation. I'm very, very happy that you are very much involved. So I only see good things come early on myself. I have one suggestion. Yes, I think, frankly, sometimes life is so busy, these are not the problems. If there's a way you can get credit card or something, you should. I have an alumni, my postgraduate alumni. Okay, they have my credit card. They charge me $25 a month. I don't even think about it. All I see is, oh my God, this guy has charged me $25. And then it's $300 a year. Okay, so something that's what I'm not going to be calling it. I'm not paying my dues. That's not my thing. That's a practical. Yes, I have. Actually, suddenly they sent me all these back because I paid for 10 years. So if not everybody's going to give you their credit card. I mean, there are some people have their own concern. But those who can, it's fine. I mean, $50 a year on a credit card, it's probably not a big deal. And then that takes away having to chase some people. So that is the way to go. Think 1 year. So I don't want to say are you part of the year group that I was a negative when I was born? Okay, 79, no, 79. So I'm 0. When you finish at school, I was 0 years old. By the way, we went to that idea a couple of years ago to do the minimum of $10 a month. At the time, we didn't have the resources to do that. We do have the Square account now that we can try to do it today. We do the recurring amount, and then if that works. The other thing that I do personally to help this association is that I've set up something called a bill pay. I don't know if any of you is aware of what a bill pay is. It's kind of replaced the checks that we used to write. Right? So you go to your bank account, go to bill pay, and set it up on a monthly basis. So that's how I am paying my
like a recurring on Zelle.
Yes. So it's called bill pay. I work in the bank, so I know that.
Yeah.
So that's being proactive. The reactive way is that you can give us your card if you trust us, and then we'll do the recurring.
I just wanted to say, with respect to growing our members, when we think of names, let's not limit it to just our year. Whenever I'm thinking of people, I think of those who are 1 year ahead of me and 1 year behind me. So when I'm looking for people, I did it when I was the president of Aoba. I always think of, okay, who are those behind me who don't come to functions, who are not on the platform, who are those 1 year ahead of me. And when we think that way, I think we'll grow the membership. If we limit it to just our year group, we would have just exhausted it. So just, if you can think of those who don't come to functions, those who are not part of the membership, those who are 1 year or 1 year behind, let us know.
And if you know somebody but you don't have the time to change them, or you let us know and we'll do the outreach.
And let me piggyback on what Mr. Okran said. When I was trying to gather money to build People House, I had the opportunity to reach out to
ladies. I remember I was home one day, my daughter said, Daddy, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to mobilize money for Alexandra. Can you give some? She's working, she's an adult. So she gave us $100. Then another time, a 75-year group's wife happened to be in my house. She also asked me, Joe, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting money for Quico House. Then she also donated $100.
Yeah.
Then it clicked that some of my friends who have businesses can easily give 500 as a charitable donation because we are 501c3, and then it will reduce their taxable income at the end of the tax year. So it's not money that you really lose if you donate to a 501c3. It's money that can go into your account and reduce your taxable payment, especially to the state of the parents. So not only limited to Alexander Santa Clausians.
Right. Thank you. Good input. And here's going to talk to us about something important. And then we'll.
Sure, yeah,
Tommy, lunch is coming.
Lunch is coming.
Oh, we're printing the check soon.
Okay, no, I'm going to talk for just 5 minutes tops, and I'm not going to fill any questions because we have to eat. And don't worry about people not participating, and this goes for all of us. There is an Italian statistician, his name is Pareto. He came up with the idea that in every endeavor, we have a 15-85. 15% of people will do the job, and 85% of people will enjoy it. So don't worry. Whatever way you look at it, things are changing. But for all those who heard about the chairman of GEC talking about the endowment fund, money is important. One way most of these schools here in America grow their endowment fund is through insurance. People, I'm not saying go and kill yourself or anything like that, but people write insurance on themselves and then give the I don't want to say their benefit, the policy value to the school of their choice. They make the school the beneficiary. And these are very cheap, maybe $10,000, $20,000, you pay maybe about $50 a whole year for that, depending on how old you are and how healthy you are. So this is something that you need to do. But just make sure you don't tell others, you might want to leave it. You just keep it. No, keep that at the back of your mind. If you are able, I would say probably instead of maybe giving $500 to a particular project, you can use that to pay your premiums maybe 4 or 5 years. Just think about all those things. Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the elections, which should have happened today. Most of you are all aware, especially the candidates who came out, who nominated themselves or who got nominated. We had a discussion with all 12 or 10 of you. Very peaceful, very respectful, and we told you, or we asked that you send a message to your constituents or your supporters. The bottom line is that the modalities were a little too much or too many. That we had to we couldn't we couldn't cross all our T's and dot all our I's. So the tall and short of it is that we have to postpone the elections. What is going to happen next? I am not in a position to tell you right now, so don't ask me, because I can tell you. The executive is going to meet, the electoral commission is going to meet with the elders. We're going to come up with different proposals. Our hope and our plan is that this will happen within the next 30 days to 3 months tops. And when that happens, we will broadcast it first to the candidates out of courtesy and respect, and then we make it known to the entire population or the general. Thank you.
Who is eligible to vote? If you would not be a little bit, I think it's in good order that we recognize those candidates that do that, because for the first time when we put out there a call for people to step up and lead this association, we had a lot of people turning up. So I think it's in good order. So let's give them all.
Can we recognize them by face and name?
Sure, we can do that. So
Okay, hold on. One of them, I'm going to call him. One of them is Sophia actually, he's right here. Let him stand up. So that's he's already standing up. The other is Leo Ryder. Then we have Kiko. We have Eben. We have
Amir.
We have Prince. Oh, they are coming. Yeah, I mentioned. Oh, for which position? No. Oh, okay. You want to take one of all of them? Please, Kofi, all of them come. And this is Selam. Oh no, what did they represent? Yeah. Okay, and then last but not the least, Roku.
Azoto is here.
Right? I'm here. And then where is Udo? Where is Udo? The gentleman who did the financial, he was also one of them. He's bringing the food. Okay. That's the reason why he's not. Guys, please let him take a picture of you.
Hey, act like you like each other for a minute. Act like you like each other. Both smart, assistant Yori. Wait.
And like I said, I'm not asking any questions.
Oh,
No. I'm not asking any questions on the election. I said that from the beginning, and I'm still saying that. You're running for president. This is easy for vice president. Kiko Kuduma for director of events. Your writer for president. Salon, unopposed for treasurer. Kofi Ache for president. And Ono for running. Mr. Jacob Abbey for vice. The guy who supplies all the okay, hold on. Ono is here now, so please get together. And when they are done, I'm done.
Here's question. Question. Yes. You won't have lunch.
Yeah.
Please, somebody put this picture with their names for us.
Don't do that campaign, no worry. Don't do that campaign.
Real one. It's time for people. So you can enjoy your food. I'm sorry, man. And the different passport in life, they go on a little bit, but there's a lot of God songs. Let's
Thank you guys. God bless you.